Hello. Welcome to In Bed with Books, the podcast where we talk about smutty fantasy, classics, and more. My name is Melissa.
And I'm Bethany. If you'd like to find more of us, you can find us on our website, inbedwithbookspod.com, YouTube for video versions of the podcast, or wherever you pod on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
If you want to see us outside of the podcast, then head over to Instagram and follow us at In Bed with Books Pod.
Thanks for being here. Let's jump right in. Long time no see. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm actually going to put my mic to the side and see if that helps because I'm usually a little bit louder than you. And it doesn't matter.
Put it in front of you, just farther back because
it's as far back as I can go.
Okay. So the mic is in the front. And so if it's to the side, it might just not catch you.
I mean, if you can hear me, it should be fine.
Okay.
Is it not? Does it sound okay?
Speak again.
Check.
It sounds a little bit better. Yeah. So that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's my desk isn't very big. And so I always have it as far away and then I'm still super loud. So
no, you're good. You're good. Just as long as it's closer to the center, you're good.
Yeah.
I just realized something as well. We both have half naked ladies over our shoulder.
Look at those titties.
Her titties are at least painted.
Yeah. No nipples.
No nipples. Yeah. That is Instagram safe. Whatever. Yes. Okay, so less than 12 hours till I am in the air to go to a wedding.
Yeah.
So in the last 2 days, tell me what's new. What's up? What's the hot goss?
Not much. I went and visited my sister last night and I saw her kitten, who I haven't seen the kitten in a while, and she's already grown. She's still a kitten. She's long and lean, and she is really active and she never calms down. But she was telling me this story. She had show me this video of, her name's May, of the kids will run and May will get on her hind legs and run with her arms up for a split second.
That's terrifying.
Isn't that? It's really scary looking. I mean, she got Violet, the little girl, to kind of jump and put her hands up and be she'd be May, jump, and jump. And then May would mimic her. And so they got it on, that's what they got on video, which was her jumping and then moving a couple steps. Isn't that insane?
I would probably start sleeping with a crucifix.
I know. She's and she has these big eyes, and she is very flying squirrel spider. She's spider monkey.
Well, also the picture you sent me of her asleep on your lap, that was an odd way for a cat to be laying down.
Yeah. She's very cute though. I know.
That's how they get you.
Funny. Yeah.
I feel like I just got here and now I'm traveling again.
I know. You're a lot of motion for you.
I know. I just like to sit. That is my preferred position.
Yeah.
Just seated.
I love traveling.
I like going new places, but I also like being in one place long enough that the going to the new place is okay and it feels new. But right now I'm this still feels new.
Yeah.
And now I'm leaving it again. I mean, granted, it's only for a week, but I'm still I want to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's already exhausting. I'm
going
to have a good time. I'm going for my cousin's wedding. So it's not it's not meaningless travel. It's not it's going to be a really boring trip or anything. It's going to be a fun trip. So
yeah. And you'll get to see a bunch of people.
Yeah, I'll get to see a bunch of family, which will be super nice.
You'll have a lot of drama to tell me, I'm sure.
No, never.
Family drama.
I'm actually remembering something that I could tell you right now, but I won't.
Not on the air.
Not on the air. Not on the air. Okay, let's jump right into this.
Yeah, let's do it. So today we're
Mhm.
covering A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. And I instantly fell in love with this so much.
Same.
I cried and I had like a soulgasm. Like I was very like, I was like, my soul was like turned on. Does that make sense?
It was like
Where I'm
calling
just
to
like,
you.
I'm like aroused and like stirred and like emotional and like full of life all at the same time.
It's where like you want to live in that world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, I feel you 100%. I read this in 2 days.
yeah, same. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
like
mostly out of necessity, but
yeah,
it
no, same.
honestly was honestly very easy to do because
there was
it's
never
so
a
good.
moment where like I was struggling to read it or to like keep myself occupied. I was
Yeah.
just I was invested from page 1.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I
this
love
is
the magic system.
yeah,
I just really love, and I'm sorry if you hear things going on in the background because Milo is cooking
good for him.
and it smells really good.
Good for you.
Yeah. Um, I realize because there's other books I've read that are similar, like kind of a Scottish location and obviously older, although this is more of like fantasy worlds, but so it's like hard to tell like what time frame or like what is going on. But it's that kind of like magic system where it has to like do with the earth and like people's experience rather than like, me, like just like I like the I like the characters' experience with magic more than like the magic itself.
Yeah.
And the love story is my new favorite.
I guess all of the love stories that were in this were beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jack and Adira.
Yeah.
The Drantoran and Mirren and the Brecken.
Yeah.
Because even that was like star-crossed lovers, kind of like that's classic. That is, it was okay. All of the love in this book was so good.
Yes.
And even beyond the romantic love, because the way he just immediately is like, that is Frey is my sister. And
yes,
if you hurt her, I hurt you kind of thing. Like instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah, I loved that. When he instantly like took ownership of his like family again. Yeah, that was nice. And I loved his backstory, like Jack's, like his whole story of like not feeling like he has like a place in Cadence and then like leaving and then even struggling at the university because he went to university to be a bard and like the first year he said he wasn't even as good as like the other students and stuff. And so his like journey with that and realizing that he just needed to like keep working at it. And then he eventually like got good enough but still didn't feel good enough, not until he went back to home.
Yeah.
And then of course later that moment, I think was at their wedding, their handfast, and he plays for the clan and like gets that recognition that he's been wanting, that now like, he can serve.
This is why I've been learning.
Yeah. Yes. This is my purpose. And so he kind of came home there and I really liked that.
I love the sense of like coming home, and him and Adira have very two different like ways of experiencing that, which we didn't know at first.
Yeah.
Because for him it's coming back and realizing that it is his home, but it's not because of where it is, it's because of the people. And then for her it's realizing that it's not her home as far as she knows, and like what does home look like if it's not your blood. So
yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. My favorite romance was Torn and Citra.
I figured.
I love rocky relationships. I do, because
It's because yours
it's
is so
real.
good.
No, it's because it's real. It's because that's
for
what,
sure, for sure.
you know,
Yeah.
it's because like I've been in moments like that when it's, and that's because I like it. I respond to, and the book really kind of was discussing this, which was there's a difference between the love that like Torn and Donella had, where it was like they were like destined for each other, and it felt like an instant like love at first sight, and everything was
they were
peachy.
like two parts of the same like sheet, like cut from the same cloth kind of situation.
Yeah. And so then you have, so then Cedric comes into the equation, and I love that her and Maisie have this like great relationship already. Love that. And there seems to be some kind of distance growing between Torrin and Sidra. And Sidra has grown to love him in this way. And it's almost as if, what did she call it? Like this silent love, I think. And then Torrin has always just kind of it's always been her presence, like always kind of coming home to her and hoping that she's there. And I always there was always this very keen sense of he always knew where she was, and so that he could like watch her, or like,
well, like the time when he goes home and she's not there, and he's like, he panics at first because he doesn't know where she is, and he can't speak into the wind to try to find her. Like that was one of those moments where he was like scared. Genuinely scared.
And it wasn't even like a territorial thing. It was because it was a yearning. And so it's so interesting for these two people to be yearning for each other. And they're together, but they're not. And so then for them to like find each other and like, oh, that was just so beautiful. I
think theirs is my favorite as well. For a similar reason, because like marriage of convenience is like, it's a huge trope, right? I mean, that's literally what Jack and Adira did, but they also kind of had the vibe of like arranged marriage. And so there's something really beautiful about them growing to love each other like that. Like you said, like we get to see that moment the first time that they have sex together, where it's like they aren't just doing this because they're husband and wife and it's convenient and they are there for each other. They're doing this because they want to have sex with each other. They want to be in that space with each other. And that was great.
That was good. And then he gets his voice taken away.
I like, my note is literally, maybe this will help their relationship if he just shuts up for a little while. Because he even admits it later. He's like, since I couldn't just talk, I was noticing more things, because all he could do was watch. I'm like, wow, what an amazing revelation to be having, that if you don't just talk all the time, you'll find out more stuff, which is something that like at that point I had a feeling that he was going to become Laird. I had no idea, absolutely no idea that she was going to be from the West. But I had a feeling somewhere or another he was going to become Laird, because he was growing so much and she seemed to be falling apart a little bit more, Adira, I mean. So yeah.
Sorry, I was like gonna see if I could find. I was listening to it on my walk today.
Okay.
And it was the scene, and I was gonna go back and like underline it. I think it was chapter 24, but it's when he finally gets his voice. So there's that time when they kind of have makeup sex, but he still can't talk. And then there's the time when he can talk.
When he professes his love and then they have sex as actual partners, life partners,
and they say each other's name. That's when I had my soulgasm.
The names in this, so like there was that moment for them, there was the repeat of My Old Menace, which frankly if I'd heard it one more time, it would have been the death of me. And then there was the way that Niall Brecken, Jack's dad, said Mirren's name twice when he was in the house, that almost undid me. Like right there, I almost just passed away.
Yeah.
So
yeah, when people say
names.
Say the names, it's with such a moment. Like
there's so much
gravity
power behind these. Yes. And I think part of that has to do with the way that like the book really like what's the word? I guess the best word is like the book really references fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
The use of secrets and the communication with spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And like the truth, the use of secrets, and I guess the way the magic works and everything. And so it felt like the way that Rebecca Ross uses names, and that felt very connected to that, like that style that she was throwing back to a bit. So
yeah.
Okay, so here's a few questions, because we know that in a few months we will have book number 2.
Yes.
Question number 1. And I'm kind of just going from the beginning of the book here. So when Torrin meets the lady out of time, and he finds a little figurine that looks like Sidra, and he's like, this is Sidra. And she's like, actually, this is the spirit. That was something that I feel like got referenced a couple times, and then they didn't really hash out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious to see, because like, as far as we know, people on the mainland don't use magic either. So it's not just like an island thing. It seems to be a people thing just as much.
Mm-hmm.
And so are these people further connected to the spirits than we've been previously led to believe?
Yeah.
Number 2, is Niall still alive?
Right.
Because the way that the guards were talking about him made it seem like they were going to kill him. Like, you got your last wish kind of thing when he was like, you got to see them. But those people also almost immediately got punished by Inez. And so I don't know if he saw his death just yet. Also, how willing was he a participant in that whole situation?
Yeah, we don't really have his side of the story.
Not at all. And now that Jack's not going the West with her, which almost had me crying. I mean, I literally finished this a little under an hour ago, and I almost cried when I realized that he wasn't going to go, because they let us believe right up until that moment.
Yes. There was something a little too tidy about it. Yeah. I was like, and they kept going on about it, and I'm like, they're like, I know, nailing the coffin, you know.
I know.
I hated that. I was like, and then the last minute, something was gonna be up. So that's interesting. So there's no music in the West.
Yes. This is another one with like a huge level of balance too. So that's super curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just left me with so many questions.
I know.
And I think part of it is because every time we discover a little bit more about their system and their world, I know less than I did a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
it's kind of the nature of it.
Yeah.
It's not something you can really connect.
Yeah. It feels like the plaids that she weaves, because the secrets come out and then it falls apart and you're like, what's going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
About the plaids.
Yes. Tell me.
Do you remember? And I'm like, is this from the book or is it from something else I was like watching or something? But isn't there something about, was it when Sidra was looking through? No. There's something about, is there anything purple? Do you remember anything purple?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that it didn't have it. It doesn't mean it doesn't have it. I realized about 2/3 of the way through that I wasn't paying enough attention to the colors.
Yeah, because I think I remember either Adira or Sidra was rummaging through a chest, or at some point, or maybe it was when Torrin went to that croft with the lady. There's something purple, and I wasn't paying attention either, but I was like, oh, maybe it did happen.
Yeah.
But if the west is blue and the east is
It's
red, together that makes purple.
Yeah.
So I hope I didn't imagine it. That there was like some little clue. Like
I need to get like the ebook from the library and just like,
yes,
search
and
purple.
search.
Yeah.
Control F.
Yep. Yay, Kindle.
Yes.
Okay. The book was so long that I'm like thinking back to the beginning right now, and I'm like, oh yeah, Jack was a completely different person when I first started reading. All of my opinions that I had on Jack at the very beginning are kind of irrelevant now.
Right.
He was definitely like artsy university musician guy who he like drops in the very beginning, like, well, you know, like the first time I had a lover, or when he's like, I guess not him, not his internal monologue with the narrator.
Yeah.
And oh, which by the way, Rebecca Ross does a very, very excellent job of switching between points of view. Like I've never had read something with this many points of view read this seamlessly.
And not have like their name at the top, you know?
Yeah. Like you just knew immediately based on like the tone and what was happening. Like very, very awesome use of that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like that being said, okay, so this felt very much more of a character driven book. And so at the very beginning, his scenes are so like selfish. He's like kind of crass and
arrogant.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't say aggressively so, but he's getting there. Like if he hadn't gone back home when he did, he would have been an asshole when he went back eventually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he changed fast.
He did. One day he was like, yeah, when I go back to the mainland, and then he's like, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
I love Adira and I love my sister.
Yeah.
And I want to play for you guys now. So yeah, it was strange.
After 10 years.
Yeah.
That's like really fast.
He just fell back into it so quickly. What did you think of Freya? Yeah, Freda. Frey.
Is that the sister?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why?
I find it hard sometimes, and I don't know if this is just me not liking, or I shouldn't say not liking.
I was like, clearly you have an opinion because I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't
like
really
not
notice.
Not a big opinion, but like, is this just a me not knowing kids kind of thing? But I couldn't tell the kids apart, like other than the name.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like
they weren't very distinct.
Not for me, no.
Yeah,
and I don't think that obviously isn't a problem with her writing because everybody else was so distinct, and I think it's just a problem with me.
No, I agree. They were pretty one-note characters.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Okay, that makes me feel better at least.
Yeah,
and they're kids.
I wonder. Yeah, I don't think we get Maisie's point of view.
No,
we just get Freya's,
and she's supposed to be 4, and that's what I had to keep reminding myself. Like, at some point,
4.
At some point I should have written a timeline down because for the longest time I thought that Freda was 4 and she was 10 because I had confused them at one point. And so then I was like, that confused some of the storyline for me.
Yeah,
some of the the backstory for me.
Yeah.
So. But again, not a problem with the writing, a problem entirely with my
I'm wondering if it was because she had so many point of views going on, she didn't want to like confuse us too much, but
no, that's fair.
But yeah, I agree, I didn't feel like there was, I'm like, by name alone it was
yeah
and
plus like the Freda's points of view, little snippets, right? It felt like they were thrown in there just to make us not realize that she was about to get kidnapped that one time. Because every time that she had one of her little points of view was like, I heard something in the garden. So I looked outside and I was like, girl, don't
look through the shutters.
Yeah. Or like the number of times before that was happening, before she was like taken out that last time when Murray almost got her. Where what's his name? Jack was just like, hey, go outside, or Mirren was real quick. She was like, go outside, go pick some eggs. And I was like, don't do this.
I know
right
it was it felt like a horror movie when you're like, let's not
waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
Yes. And maybe that's also why, because like for the first like several times that it was her point of view, so much stress. Yes.
Like, don't go outside.
At first when Murray walked up and she was like, so I saw a Brecken and I saw like his blue plaid and everything. I was like, oh, maybe it's her dad, because we're talking about him right now. And then they're like, and so his straw blonde hair and green eyes. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. Yeah.
Oh man.
I am excited to see the West though.
Yes.
Because Inez seems pretty fucking badass.
Is it Inez?
I think so.
I love that. That's Milo's grandmother's name.
Oh.
It's Inez, and she's Scottish. Well, has Scottish descent or whatever.
Nice.
Her last name's Moffat. But I read it Inez because that's what it looks like to me, but I'm happy that it's Inez. I think that's cute. It's probably just a different spelling.
Yeah, I was doing the audiobook, so otherwise I would not know how to pronounce half of these names. I'm really glad. So I did the audiobook and the book together.
So did I, but I didn't read when she came. I didn't listen when she came on, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
that's why I know it's Adira.
I would have, yeah. That's how I know it's Adira. It's Murray, Mirren, which kind of just sounds like Marin.
Yeah.
Marin. Yep, like just a sound away.
It's also just the accent because eyes are as.
Yep, exactly.
Instead of
exactly.
Is. Yeah.
But yeah, I would not have known how to pronounce like half the names if I. Yeah. Jack, I've got down.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I've got that one down. I probably would have been able to get Freda eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not.
Torrin's easy too.
Torrin's easy. Sidra also easy, just would have.
I love
the number of times that we've read that recently, and it's been like something to do with a city. I thought that was funny.
I think Sidra is
but like with a C.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When I hear Sidra, I think it's like a river, isn't it?
I think so.
Somewhere.
Isn't it like in Akatar? I love that. Yeah, I think it is Sidra. Yeah. Ooh.
It's a river somewhere in the world.
Yeah. Not in our world. Oh my
God. Though. Yes. A Court of Thorns and Roses. Sidra River. It's with an A though. Sidra. I've also decided that I'm like, I don't know, this might be like my future daughter's name or something. But I love Sidra and I love Signy. As those are like, I think, Gaelic names. And I never knew how to pronounce Signy because it's Signe, so I always thought it was Signe, but Signy sounds cuter. And then you can like call her Siggy for short. Yeah. I just think that's really cute.
I think
nobody steal my idea.
Does one of those like AE sounds. Yeah. So it's more like an A. But like I can't do it.
What is more of an A? The E?
So yeah, the Signy, it's more like the AE than like just a straight A.
Oh yeah.
But I can't properly do that sound. I know that for a fact. So right. Adira is a very pretty name in my opinion.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I almost just knocked over my water onto my laptop and my life flashed before my eyes. So, I did not see, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't see the plot twist coming because I knew that his dad was going to be Brecken. I was like, it's too easy. She's right there on the border.
Yeah.
They've obviously found some way through. And I thought that maybe he knew about the flower and that's what he was using. And that's how he that's the secret he revealed for some reason. Based on his reaction when he saw Marin, I'm gonna assume that he is actually a very good person and maybe he was helping the little girls because he didn't have a choice in whether or not they were taken, but he did have a choice because he had to swear fealty to what's his name, the heir, the asshole. And so he was like, the one thing I can do is make sure these girls are taken care of. And so that's what I'm telling myself for now. And I hope that's what ends up happening. I don't remember where I was going with that though.
Well, there's that part in the end when Maisie tells Adira right before Adira leaves about Elspeth. So it's, to me, it sounds like they were able to get along with them pretty well, or whoever Elspeth is. And I think so that there is some kind of hope that it's not going to be as dire. I don't know, that they're going to be able to get along.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I feel like, because there's this whole, what did I write in here? Hold on a second. Okay, so the main conflict between them is the resources, right? And one thing you and I have talked about, definitely on the podcast before, but also with each other multiple times, is how when you remove somebody's need for or their struggle for survival, they become generally better people because they don't have to worry. Their life isn't lived in a constant state of struggle and survival needs and everything. And so I do think that if they can find a common ground, then it'll be good. They'll be able to properly reinstate balance.
Yeah, help each other.
Yeah. And then if we want to talk about balance again, because we just read, hold on. Oh, sorry, I've been sitting all day, so I'm all stiff. We just read the snippet for the back of the book for number 2. And that even re-emphasizes kind of their need for balance, right? And so what could be more balanced of rulers than somebody who was born in the West and raised in the East, and her husband, somebody who was born of a mother from the East and a father from the West. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see any flaws with that whatsoever.
Yeah, that was pretty tidy as well.
Yeah. Don't say that.
But you not tidy, you know what I mean?
Don't say that, you're gonna curse it. You're gonna
I know. It was destined.
It does feel a little bit like that because he wouldn't even be alive if it hadn't been for her. That moment between them before they had sex. For a book that was this big and didn't have sex, we enjoyed it a lot.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You have no idea. I was like, there's that part when Torrin can talk and he's sitting down and she comes in between his legs. And I thought she was on her knees. And I was like, if I were her, I would just take it out.
Yeah.
And I would fix him. I was he is such a wounded,
oh my God.
Boy, I just
your Pisces is showing.
I was like, oh my God, I want to make you feel better. I loved that. I loved him. And also I just imagined Torrin was just very attractive the whole time.
There's no way
so
around
I
it.
was just turned on every time he came in the room. So
he felt like if we were to cast this, somebody that I've used before, he felt like the Henry Cavill of this book, like the big guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've kind of talked before about how like books will throw in different guys to suit our tastes, right? You'll get the big guy, I'll get the skinny muscular guy, I'll get like.
But then you have Jack, who has like the long fingers. He's definitely your type. I was like, okay, Jack,
emotionally distant musician. What?
I was like, not my Melissa type. Is Adira. Yes. And I am Sidra, and we're going to live our lives out on the east and the west. Yeah.
Yep.
It was good. Yeah, that was good.
Even I mean, like we have our usual attractions, but I was into like the growth that Torrin made was just so like the emotional intelligence there. Because their relationship is probably just like several steps ahead of Adira and Jack.
Yeah.
So
I think they're a bit older.
Yeah.
Because also I had texted you, I was like, I love Torrin, and that was early. That was like right after the scene he had with his dad, when you kind of hear
the first time he goes to see him.
Yeah. And Torrin, and it kind of gives a little bit of backstory about like him, like, you know, you can really see kind of the toxic masculinity with him, specifically because of his role as like the captain of the East Guard or whatever, and him not able to show like vulnerability or weakness to anyone, even to Sidra, and so kind of seeing that like unravel is nice.
Well, also like that scene in particular, you see where that comes from too.
Yeah.
Because instead of telling his son right there what he obviously knew how to do, he kind of just put him down.
Yeah.
And he was like, you're too much of a man to do this. You should leave this to a woman. But it's like, there's an actual baby right there in front of you who cannot wait for him to go out and find a wife immediately. And so then he like, Graham comes to his senses and sends him that note. And that was like kind of in a way like foreshadowing the issues that Torrin was going to have, because the whole thing is that Graham can't talk to him. He needs him to be away from him for them to exchange something. Just as like, it's barely even like, I wouldn't even categorize it as intimate. If we're going to, it's at the very, very edge. Like it's level 1 intimate.
Yeah.
How to take care of a baby. And he couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
And you can see a very different man when he's with Sidra and Maisie, but not with Torrin, just with the girls. And so it's like a huge, like I think it was seeing that more clearly that made Torrin want to be like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not repeating this.
Yeah.
And then losing Maisie and realizing that he doesn't want that to be the legacy of their relationship. So.
Yeah. I think kind of a different point.
Yeah.
Something that we've talked on the podcast before, which is the whole romance trope of like, if he touches you, I'll kill you. Like how much I hate that.
Yeah.
However,
there
is a moment in this book when he it was at Murray and in Mirren's cottage, and he just punches his jaw and he's like, you stole my daughter, you assaulted my wife, and I'm going to kill you for that. And I was like,
and then he like Spartan kicks him.
Yeah. And I was like, oh
yeah.
Oh, okay.
specifically because it's like he kicked him right where he had kicked Sidra.
Yes. Oh my god.
Don't even talk to me about that.
I was like very into that. Yep. There's so much like sex in this book. I can't even
and there's the sex.
Without any like anatomical descriptions, like nothing like specific at all, but it was very good.
This is romance and such like a true
it is Yeah.
Like in a very traditional sense.
Yes.
You can feel it in between the lines, and they're like looks at each other. Because so it's only been a few weeks, right? But then Jack talks about how, or I guess Adira kind of proclaims it first, but she's like, I don't care what they all say. I want you. And that doesn't come as any surprise because you can feel it happening. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't talked about either. I mean, because Jack and Adira are kind of like the main kind of storyline. So they're the ones that are kind of doing all of the things. Like they're the ones doing where he plays to the spirits. That was really cool. Yeah. I loved that. Like you could also there's so many things I underlined in here because of the way her descriptions of things are incredibly like visceral and poetic, but also like really grounded. And one of her, like, especially the Confessions of Love, obviously I underlined all of those, but the ones too where she was where they were like calling the spirits and she was describing like the what was her name? Win of the sea, the river, the lake,
one of the sea spirits.
Yeah. I think it was the sea. Yeah. And
I think that was Win and Easterstone or like something, or the Earth people.
Oh, the Evie Stone. And then there was it's on the map actually, Kelpie Rock or something.
Yeah, it's like
Kelpie Rock. And I don't remember the spirit. I think it was Win or something, WHIN, whatever. But
Win was one of the Earth ones, but then it was like R because it was in one of the fairy tales. Reem, yes.
Reem
is the sea.
And then the Bane.
Bane is the villain. It sounds like a very
villainous. We haven't
name,
met
Northern Wind.
The Fire, which is going to be the next one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
And okay. So anyone who has not, well, if you're listening to this, you don't have a problem with spoilers. But if you want to read the snippet for the next book before we say anything, then pause this real quick, go Google it, come back to us.
Yeah.
We will wait. But I like that basically what's going to happen next book is that Jack's going to revive Fire, and that's going to be part of them restoring balance to their island, because it shouldn't have a hierarchy with the spirits.
Right.
At first I thought it was just because like earth is stronger than water because there's more earth, and air is stronger than earth because air is everywhere. But then fire not being the strongest doesn't make sense either, because wouldn't it like make sense for that to be the strongest because it can be anywhere it wants to be? So restoring balance of the spirits is going to be fucking huge.
Yeah. I'm really excited.
Same.
I guess I just when she was describing like the spirits, I could see it, and that's really rare for me. Not rare for me, but it hasn't that kind of imagination she's pulling out of me hasn't happened in a long time with like books. I feel like it was like I could see it, and I could see like the inside of the homes. I could see like the mist. Oh, I also just love Scotland.
Oh, so. I know.
I was just like, I really wanted to see it. Like, I was like, I really want to.
It was easy to pull from because we've also been to Scotland before.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't like in Crescent City where you're imagining something entirely new.
Yeah.
It was like, I've seen the moors of Scotland before. I can imagine
put it together.
Yeah. I just had to fill in some extra blanks. It was easy. Yeah.
Really made me want to watch Rob Roy. Have you seen that?
No, but I've heard of it.
Oh, it's so good.
It kind of made me want to rewatch the first season of Outlander.
That too. Yes.
I saw, and I don't know if it's just because my phone is listening, I could hear 14 straight hours of a Scottish accent, but I've been getting a lot of Outlander reels on Instagram.
Oh,
and I saw the hand fasting. scene.
Mm-hmm.
Boobs in that scene though.
Yeah.
I hadn't realized like this was a close up. It was kind of poorly done, I'm not gonna lie. And so it was just like from here, like just into the boob up for both of them. And so her boobs were like center. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna have to put that, I guess, into my River Enchanted brain as I'm listening to this.
Your mood board.
Yeah, as I was like, I've clearly been underselling their clothing here. I have them all wrapped up. So
yeah.
Go back and rewrite.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was definitely like I was listening to my my playlist that has like all of these like movie score, and I had messaged you and I was like, when Braveheart theme comes on when you're reading about Scottish fantasy, and it was like so perfect because that and like Outlander would play and I'm like, oh yeah, like I felt so there. Like the what are they called? You know, the
Moors?
No, the instrument, bagpipes.
Oh, bagpipes. Such a romantic instrument.
It is. It was there. It was meant. It was meant to fill the valley.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be loud because the acoustics in the valley is.
I mean, they're pretty bad.
They don't stop.
Yeah.
Just going.
I'm just thinking about that bagpipes player in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
You can hear it all over the city.
Yeah.
And that's the goal, I guess.
Yeah. It just wafts up the
all the way down the mile. Oh.
Yeah.
He's actually a really good player.
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it more than one, or is it just the one?
There was just one when I went there.
Okay.
I'm sure there's more than one.
Somewhere. I feel like maybe they like. I was wondering if they have like shifts. So that way there's always somebody during like business hours giving like the Scottish.
It's like the Beefeaters at the Buckingham Palace. They have to like they're not allowed to like smile at you and shit.
Yeah, but it's like the Scottish version. So they take pictures with you and they like tell you to fuck off.
Yeah. So. And they're like, give me whiskey.
Yeah. Okay.
Quick thing.
Yes.
I kept wondering why the hell it was called A River Enchanted, the whole book. And I was like, I hate books like that. That it doesn't have it's
just a pretty name.
Fucking name has nothing to do with the story. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves. And of course, like in the last like 4 chapters, it tells you, oh, because that's how they've been getting it over the border. And I'm like, okay. So it was like actually a hint.
It was. And I feel so stupid.
I know, I feel so dumb.
And I don't know if it's like, I'm going to tell myself and I'm going to tell you, and we can both use this excuse, is because we had to read it so fast because we put it off for so long. And that is the only reason we didn't see these plot twists coming, not because they didn't have any hints whatsoever.
We didn't get to reveal. Like, we had no like space in between reads to like ponder.
Last night when I finished reading, I fucking conked out. I was asleep. So that was it.
Yeah.
I was done.
Yeah.
But in our defense, there was literally no indication that Adira was actually from the West. A couple of like she went up to the top of that cave, that cliffside, and could see out to the west, and she would like to do that sometimes. But that doesn't even read necessarily as somebody being from the West. That also just reads as
someone curious about the West.
Yeah, she's curious. She's got big dreams.
Yeah.
She's like
it added to her want to create peace with them.
Yeah.
Because the West is such a mystery. So that made a lot of sense for that.
And I did feel super bad for her at the end when everyone was like gossiping and they were talking about how she knew from the beginning and what were all of these illegal dealings she was having with them. And I was like, if she's the laird, they're not illegal.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
But people are stupid. And I hope she gets to come home.
Yeah.
And I hope Murray dies.
Yes.
And I hope Torrin does it.
Does it. Yeah, I do too. I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see that scene, please.
Yeah.
Please.
And I don't want to see like some change of heart in him where he like is holding the sword over him and he doesn't do it because he's a
and he
changed
gives
man
him
for Sidra.
forgiveness or some shit.
Yeah, no, I want to see him kill them.
Yeah.
And I want to see Sidra like give him the thumbs up to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that'll happen, but I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
So
it's happening in our dreams.
yeah, exactly. It's gonna happen in my dream tonight.
It's gonna happen regardless. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I feel like it was a big book and very character driven.
I feel like there
And
wasn't
so
a wasted word.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to remember if there's anything else that happens. So do you think Sidra is gonna become a goddess of the earth?
I don't know. I just feel like that was like a really big connection to have for it to just be like one day she plays with the figurine and that's that. Maybe we find out, like I said, like maybe we find out that the people of the island are more connected to the spirits than just by location.
Yeah.
Especially because they're going to be working together in the next book to try to defeat Bane.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it seems like people have their like what's the word? I'm gonna blame like so Mercury has entered its shadow, and I feel like more and more lately I keep forgetting words. So it's gonna be retrograding here in a few weeks. Everyone kind of has like their like affiliation. So like Sidra can do healing really well. Mirren does the weaving. Then you have Una who does the blacksmith, and Jack does the music, and so they all like are able to channel their magic through a trade.
Right.
And as far as we know, it doesn't say that people can do it outside of those trades. So it feels like they've kind of got their something to connect them. So I don't know if maybe that
it's like an occupational like power, magic. Yeah. Like it has to serve, like, because there's no like curses going on. There's no like
like
there's
you
no
got the enchanted
like
knives,
isolated things. Yeah. But everything is connected to some kind of like occupation.
And I don't know how much it is like it's focused on the occupation itself, or if it's just like
it has to be like
the magic that they're good at and they turn that into an occupation.
Right.
You know?
Which I think is kind of cool because it ends up being this magic that serves the community. You know, because Jack can play his harp and it's not magical, but he does it for people.
And even like when Lorna realized that he was the one that would have to replace him, she saw something in him, because even like Adira is like, I didn't see what she saw in him any different than anybody else. Everyone stopped and held their breath while she played, but Lorna saw something in him, which means that which I would assume means that she could see that he had in him what she had in her. Or like Donella telling Sidra that Maisie needs to follow Sidra's path because that's what she has like an inkling for, you know? So I'm curious if that plays a role as well in their like relationships to the spirits. Because their religion on the island too is also very based in the spirits. It's not like a religion of a bigger god or any god. It is faith in nature and in the spirits around them. So their magic, I would assume, if I'm understanding correctly, is also rooted in that. Because even Sidra couldn't heal him.
Yeah, that's true. And also Torin being alerted when someone comes in the border. So it all has to do, it all is very strictly linked to that. And I feel like even the weaving, Mirren's weaving is secrets, but also like protection, which makes sense.
It sounds
like those kind of go together.
Yeah. And so like if I understood correctly, it was basically like implied that the secrets were used as like an anchor, because as long as it stayed a secret, the magic would persist. So like when you looked at the knives effect only lasted as long as the bleeding lasted.
Right. Yes.
So their effects wore off once the
wound heals.
Wound healed, yeah. So like the effects of the plaids wear off once the secret gets out, which was interesting.
And when the plaid is ripped? Because there's that moment when Adira like rips it, and that's when she kind of learned the spell was broken. I don't think she ripped it.
I think it's like she grabbed it and it fell apart.
Okay,
yeah. Because there was just the one line when Jack was picking up one of his plaids and he was like, one of the strings was pulling. So whatever secret my mom had used was about to come out.
Right.
I would like to know the secret that Torin told Mirren in order to construct yes, because that seemed like a big moment, because that was one of the moments again where Freda went outside and you're like, don't do this right now.
Outside, please.
Please stay within the perimeter of the house.
Yeah. So she was older. Or she's 4.
She is 8.
And Maisie was like
4.
Maisie was young.
Yeah. I eventually figured it out. I eventually got like the timeline all squared away.
4 makes sense, because that's when him and Sidra got together, was like a year after.
Yeah, just about like at the 3-year mark.
Yeah.
Or yeah, they're at the 3-year mark. So it was about a year later. And she died during childbirth. So yeah. And then I had to remember that Jack said a comment about like, when we find out that his sister is 8 years old, that he spent almost his entire time in university just completely oblivious to his sister. How many people do you think had like a plaid that was the secret that she had a daughter? Or I guess how many people have a plaid that is who his father is, that just fell apart after this because they didn't expect it to ever come out? Like, imagine you're wearing something and the secret comes out and you didn't know that like it comes out and your plaid just fucking falls apart and comes off. Like that.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, like that would be pretty fucking sad. Like, you're just kind of walking around
like
naked at
and
that
then
point.
and then just all of a sudden you're not clothed.
Yeah, which is terrible. That's like not even arguably, that's just worse.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
I cried hard on this book.
The only thing that stopped me from crying was knowing that we had to record in like 15 minutes after I finished it.
So you're gonna cry when we're done.
I'm gonna think about this afterward. I'm gonna read the last few pages and I'm gonna sob. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I just like wiped my eyes and now they're all itchy. You know how that happens and you're like, I shouldn't have done that.
Know. Yep.
Yes, this is one of my favorites that we've covered on the podcast. I love this book so much. I will read it again and I cannot wait for the next one. And I'm also very glad it's a duology.
Yeah.
There's something that feels right about just seeing these small moments in their life and then, putting it to bed.
There's something super special about that.
Yes. Like, because there is something to be said about that. Like, like books, like with long series, like you have to kind of create an arc, which like each book, which is exciting to be with the characters for a long time, and you kind of get like more in depth with them. But then there's also something really special about really getting like deep in one book and giving it like the attention and like the space that it needs.
Yeah.
And it just like hits so much like deeper. That's what it felt like this one for me.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
It felt very fairy tale like in the same way that like Lord of the Rings feels fairy tale like, where you can feel that it's being drawn from those sources.
Yeah.
Even if it's not an actual fairy tale. Like it's not short at all. It's more of an epic if we're gonna like make that kind of comparison. But it's still so whimsical. I loved it. Yeah. It can Jack. So
yeah, it's a little bit torn. Yeah, no, it reminded me a lot of the poems of Ossian, which I told you I ordered finally because this book is just like complete. I was like, oh, I read it in college. Oh, snippets of it in London.
You're gonna go down the rabbit hole.
I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole because I did my paper on one of my papers on it, and it is because Fingal's one of the characters, and he was the, you know, the backstory was like of the two clans.
Oh, Fingal and Joan. Yes.
So you know, Fingal's like a, but it's just like such, it's such this beautiful like almost like this like repeated saga of what did you call it?
Epic,
thank you. This like repeated epic saga of these clans that go to battle and then they die on the hill, and then they live in the mist and they tell their story,
and then it gets warped over time until it creates another war, and like
and they sing on the their spirits sing on the hill in the mist of like longing for like their wives and, you know, their wife's breast, and, you know, they're like, you know, and all of these like you know, but fighting for like, it's just like kind of, it's like this generational thing where it's like nothing ever gets solved and it just kind of keeps going. It's really cool. But I love like the idea of like the wind also.
Yes,
like,
I didn't know how serious, like, how literal that was at first.
Yeah.
But then it was like extremely literal. That's
fun. What I love about that too, is how like you're not sure how like serious this is, but then it ends up being like way more whimsical than you thought, which I loved. I loved that.
I do also kind of on the note of like the Ossian stuff. If we were to look 200 years in the future, if they don't resolve the issue now, it's not going to be the story of Joan and Fingal. It's going to be the story of Adira, the stolen child, that gets told around. On the west side, and then on the east side is going to be the story of the stolen daughters by the changeling Adira. And so that's really interesting to think about. Is that like we're reading the potential like
epic,
scary bedtime story for the next generation of kids. So
okay. I'm so excited for the next one.
Same. I was like, does this come out in the winter and the spring? Like, how soon can we read this? This comes out. The next book comes out December 6th. And so that is going to be in our next season.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What are we reading next week, Melissa?
A King of Battle and Blood.
Which is, from what I've heard of Scarlett St. Clair, is going to be a very steamy book, and I'm so ready.
It is our first official sex for the season.
Yeah, like real sex.
Yeah. Like not closed door sex. Like we're going to get like penis action.
We're going to get penis. We're going to get the V.
We're going to get some boobs and some nice man boobs too. I could use some man boobs.
So this is remind me. So this is gods, or is it?
This is vampires.
Vampires. Okay. Yeah. That's right. I was like, I there was one. I felt like it was like Tristan and Isolde's. I think
that's what this is.
Oh, it is, but it's vampires. Okay, cool.
Yes. That's their names at least.
Yeah. Okay,
So
cool.
I don't know how much it ties into like
Oh, yeah.
Arthurian stuff, but
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Okay, cool.
Or it's just
can't
her
wait.
name that's Isolde. Hold on. I'll look at it later. It's right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I have it too.
I'm gonna be taking it with me to Michigan. Ooh.
Yeah. So that'll be
Airplane
our
read.
next one.
Yes. In the meantime, thank you for listening again, for joining us. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. We appreciate all of your listens and your likes and your even if you don't show us love, we feel it.
We feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So until next week.
Mhm.
Happy reading.
Happy reading.
Bye.
Bye.